Thanks for joining the Dating with Katy podcast. Today we're talking money, honey. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be talking about money in the next 2 podcasts. I just got off the phone with my finance guy. I'm going to be telling you about him because he's actually sponsoring my podcast right now because he believes in love. He's got a great wife. He's a young kid. I actually got him his job. But nonetheless, so first I want to let you know that my finance guy, Ryan, is amazing. And if you are anything like my story that you're going to hear today, you need him. You are not an expert at everything, and that's why we listen to podcasts. And he has helped me so much just really structure my finances. He has watched me grow. I remember the first time he asked me, Katy, what's your goals for your family? And I was like, you mean financial goals? I couldn't even fathom having a financial goal because I was so struggling as a single mom. So you guys, I have all of his information below, ryan.chang@nm.com. Reach out to him. I have his phone number. Everything is linked below. Go chat with him. I am this passionate about how we should be feeling about our finances because it's like a relationship, right? It's like you want to feel secure and safe, just like we want to feel that in our relationship. So thank you, Ryan, for sponsoring, but let's really talk about this nitty gritty of finances. So today I want to make sure you subscribe, click that, send this to a friend who's also maybe struggling. What you guys see in my life did not just happen overnight. I am financially strong and secure now. This is not the story of how it was. When I got divorced 11 years ago, I had no career, had no income. My ex, as you guys know, was in the ministry. We did not have any money. We rented. We lived paycheck to paycheck. It was rough. And even the divorce was rough. It was 2 years of a divorce. A lot of it was fighting over the kids. He wanted full custody. I wanted part-time custody. I mean, every kid needs both parents as long as they're quality people. So that was a giant chunk of change out of both sides. I mean, praise the Lord. I got to be honest here. My parents helped me pay for this. My dad said to me, he said this, and guys, hopefully this doesn't have to be true for your daughters, but you pay for the first wedding, you pay for their college education, and you pay for the first divorce. My dad said, anything after that, you're paying for, Katy. So that's why no divorce, second round. Nonetheless, I was literally broke when I got divorced. I was a 33-year-old woman. I have 2 college degrees, sociology and Spanish, and I have 3 little kids at the time that were all probably, 7, 5, and 3. What am I gonna do? What does a woman who has got no income source of her own go out and go do? And honestly, my ex didn't make any money. So when the court did the Disomaster, and if you've been through court and you've done the Disomaster, which I do recommend that every couple do, I think it's a fair and equitable way to divide, unless you're just a good guy and you're willing to part with a lot of your money. And by the way, if you are that guy, thank you for making sure that your ex-wife and kids are taken care of. But the Disomaster, when it was run through court, they looked at me and said, well, you are a smart woman. You have college degrees. You should go get your own job. And so basically, I got very, very little money for all 3 of my kids. So if you can do the math here, I have 3 kids and I got $100 per kid every month. Total. That was total. That was the total income I got from my kids. And I didn't get it. And I didn't get alimony. And I didn't get child support. I actually got that under what's called family support. So that was considered my income, and I had to pay taxes on it. Crazy. But after 2 years of going through divorce court, I was ready to just call it done and be done with court. And I took what I took because honestly, I am a capable woman and I knew I could figure it out. Okay, so if you are in that stage, I promise you can figure it out. You just have to have hope and faith. And so I want to share some of these things that men, some women, and both of you should be doing if you are a single parent and you're dealing with finances. Well, first things first, and ladies, I'm going to kind of start with you because I only can speak from my story. It was rough. It was very rough. I lived with my parents in my bedroom with all 3 of my kids. Thank God they were small. So it was easy to kind of maneuver the whole bedroom. They didn't think much of it. The bedroom that I grew up in, literally on a trundle bed. So the kids were in the trundle bed, 3 of them in 2 different beds. And I was on my old bed growing up. And it was hard. It was a lot of Del Taco dinners. It was a lot of, getting the kids quiet so my parents could have a quieter house and going outside a ton just so we could have our space. But you do what you got to do. And there's no shame in that game. And honestly, it's also a great time to be back around family again if you love your family and cherish those moments because my mom passed many years after that and it was sad. So first thing you got to do, ladies as well, and gentlemen, some of you are in this struggle too, you got to find your tribe. As a single mom at a small school, all my kids went to this very cute school in Naples, California. Almost everybody was married. I was probably the first one out there who was divorced. And I had these great friends who helped me. And they were my tribe. Like I had 3 kids at 3 different soccer events. I couldn't pick up everybody. And now sadly, my ex and I did not work well together during that era. It was like his days were his days and my days were my days. And therefore I had to go find help. So my aunt was a fantastic resource. My mom was a great resource. And I knew the expectation I had for each one. Like my mom could only do so much. Like she could honk and pick the kids up versus my aunt would come out and then take them to ice cream versus my friends who were just gathering their kids and just shove them in the car too. So find your tribe and just be grateful. Don't feel indebted to them because people want to help. And so your tribe wants to help you. They want to see you grow. And my tribe is amazing. And I found a bunch of other single moms. I had to find a new group of friends. And to this day, I mean, right behind me, my bestie, she was another single mom I met at a job. And I said, you're cool. I should hang out with you. And literally, we're still best friends to this day. She sent me those flowers. So it's okay to like kind of recreate who your people are because they're going to get your circumstance. You know what else, ladies and gentlemen? It's okay to simplify your life. I understand we all want the big American dream, the bigger houses. Guess what I did? I ended up moving into a 2-bedroom apartment with my kids. Now, where I live, the rent is very high. I love the neighborhood. It's right by the beach. And I wanted to keep it consistent for my kids. Their friends were already at the school, and I couldn't afford a 3-bedroom by any means. But again, my kids were still little, so guess what? They all slept in the same room for many, many years, probably about 5 years. And the boys were in the bunk bed. My daughter was in her bed. And they are the best of friends. And I can tell you this, all the kids they went to school with had their own rooms. They all had nannies. You know, it was a nicer neighborhood and these kids' parents did well. But my kids are the best of friends because of that, I believe. And I also realized that my kids, they crush school. There was this expectation that mama's busy, dad is busy, we're doing life, so you need to step up your game. And all of my kids did exceptional in school. We didn't take anything less, you know. So I'm really proud of them, by the way. But it's okay to simplify and do small. It's okay to bring it back to a smaller roots. And maybe if your kids are older, that's going to be a little bit harder. But just show them that the house isn't about how big it is. It's about how much you can love each other in it and work through life. So it's also okay to juggle jobs. I did this for one reason, because I always wanted to drop off my kids at school and pick them up. That was huge to me. And I can look back now and see how God truly like planned out every job, every little job. I had all these little jobs and people would say, well, Katy, why don't you get one real job? And I will tell you, I tried once. I did. I went and got a real job and it didn't work out. And 3 months later, I got fired. Because this is what happened. When I took the real corporate job, and I never done corporate, and my heart was to be with my kids, I took this corporate job for safety and security. I never saw my kids. I never dropped them off. I never picked them up. I had everybody running around doing my job, which was my heart's desire. And honestly, there came a point where I was so work overloaded, I told my daughter to F you. And that is nothing I've ever wanted to say to my child. I was so stressed out. I took it out on her and I thought, Katy, that's it. This job is no good for you. Ultimately, I went out and tried another job in between and they caught me. Which is fine because it was to my benefit that I actually got to leave the job. But as I was walking out from that job, I remember the HR woman says to me, you know what? You're lucky you got out now because this job will just suck you from your family. And you know what? I'll take it. If this was God's direction and it's going to be better for my family, I'll take being fired. I also want you guys to know, ladies especially, do not get into credit card debt. If you are using a credit card on either side here, nobody should be getting into credit card debt. If you can't afford it, you shouldn't buy it. If you're not sure, wait 3 days. Like, this is so important. I always tell men that if you're going to date a woman, if she's in credit card debt, you really have to question why she is in that. I mean, debt for car, debt for homes, that's okay. But credit card debt, you're living beyond your means unless you're putting things on there just so you can survive. But I really want to encourage you women that credit card debt is not pretty. It's just not pretty. And I don't even know how to sleep at night if I had credit card debt because you're paying for air. You're paying interest on air. It's ridiculous. So don't do it. Now, guys, I want to share a little bit with you from our perspective. Now, I know that some of you are paying off your ex-wives and some of these women are living large. They got champagne lives. That, you know, look, Orange County, you've got plenty of women who are just fine for the rest of their lives. And if you're that guy, and can I just say this, if you're that guy and you're paying it off happily, in the sense where you want to make sure she feels, you know, safe in the house still with the kids, whatever the reason is, if you've got a good heart towards that, can I just say thank you? Because I've gone on plenty of dates where guys are like, oh yeah, my ex, blah, blah, blah. But then I've gone on the date where the guy says, you know, I just wanted to make sure my ex felt safe. We did get a divorce, but I just, she's such a good mom to my kids, and I want them to have the home and feel good in that. Hey, I'm just going to give some kudos right there for you guys. But I know some of you, it wasn't as pretty and you are paying out. So you've got to go live in an apartment while she's still living in the house. It's rough. I get it. I'm so sorry for that. But thank you for doing what you feel like you need to do. So, but I also want to talk about the fact that should you be out dating if you're financially struggling? Guys, if you are financially struggling, you should not be out dating. So there's some of you just want to date, you just want a woman around, you just want some like touching and some kissing maybe. Guys, if you cannot protect and provide for a woman, and I'm old school, so you're not going to hear me saying women should be paying for half the date, then you shouldn't be dating. So go and get your financial house in order. And ladies, again, you too, do not be getting credit card debt. Go get your financial house in order so that you can be ready to date. So how do you know when you're ready to date if you're one of those guys? I would like to think that, a guy who really likes a woman would offer to pay for her babysitter. So if in my circumstance, I am a struggling mom, you can obviously tell I'm living in an apartment with my kids all sharing a room. I'm not living large. I'm not carrying Chanel's. I do not have a Rolex. If you can see that and you're dating me, then you can probably assume that I might be struggling for babysitter money because these babysitters are expensive nowadays. So if you are out there dating, be a gentleman. And if you can financially afford it, which again, you should be able to afford to date a new woman, you should offer to pay for a babysitter. Now, not every time, but there might be times that she can't go get her aunt to babysit and she can't get anyone from her tribe. Can you be that man who can offer that kind of support? It's huge. If you really like her, you'll figure it out. So make sure that you are that guy. And ladies, if he does, make sure you're grateful. Have your kids write a thank you note if they're old enough to understand that, or just a thank you note to the babysitter and give it to him. Really make sure that you are, being grateful for what he is helping you with and what he is doing for your life to make your life better, because that's what a good guy does. Now, for both of you, I would highly recommend that you have a finance person, because I don't know how to fix my car. I don't know how to fix my teeth. Heck, some of you don't even know how to work out and get a good workout. That's why we hire people for this, right? So get a finance person. Ryan, my guy, is phenomenal. His info is down there. I started with pennies. I started with so minimal. I didn't even have financial dreams because I wasn't even there yet. And now I can tell you, he is so proud of me because I'm making giant financial gains. I have done the small steps to be financially wise that I am starting to see myself like go bigger with what I need to save and how I need to put it away. So, and I'm not going to give you that advice. That's his job. Go reach out. Also, if you do not have life insurance, I can tell you that I started with small life insurance. I started with the term. I knew that my ex had no money and I really didn't have any money, and I never wanted my kids to not have money if I were to pass. So I did the $20 a month for term life insurance. It's like renting in a sense, but I knew that if I died, at least my kids would have something, and that was important to me. Generational wealth and concern is important to me. And now I'm doing permanent, which is basically a savings plan that I'm going to be able to take out later with no taxes. So if you have not done that, parents, I highly recommend that you do that. Another thing, make sure you're giving back financially. I believe, as a Christian, I give my tithe. I know sometimes it's hard to look at your paycheck and say, what? I got to give 10% back to God? Guess what? He gave it to you. Give it back. I promise you, you can never outgive God. Also, philanthropy. If there is a passion that you have, I am the longest withstanding supporter to a ministry, which shocks me because I started with $20 a month. My daughter and I went to this great girls convention, a Christian convention, and I thought this is really special that moms and daughters can do this. I should just give $20 a month. I am now giving way more, but still I am the longest withstanding supporter, and it's in that consistency you start to build into something that's bigger than yourself. So find something that you love, and maybe it's just giving your free time. Do something like that, because that's also just giving away of yourself. And lastly, talk to your kids about money. You guys, this is life skills, just like dating is life skills. You got to talk to your kids. They're smarter than you think. Make them work. I'll tell you what, when I used to come home at 8 o'clock at night from my Michael Kors job, which, by the way, go listen to my last podcast on going out alone. You'll hear about how I used to go out after my Michael Kors shift at 9 o'clock when my kids were not home, and I'd go and have like one glass of wine or a glass of beer, whatever was cheaper, just so I could have some adult time. But I used to call my kids on the days they were home. If I knew I was getting home late, guess what my kids did? They had dinner on the table for me. They had the house cleaned up. I'm preparing them to be in a quality relationship with someone else who might be busy working. So whether it was the boys or the girls, all of my kids pitched in And now look, when I say dinner on the table, it was usually like Trader Joe's Indian food heated up in the microwave, which is good. And I'm just proud that they could put it out. They put the settings out. They had that ready to go. I could literally walk in the door, then you to clean up the house and to have dinner on the table for me. Make your kids work at home. The other thing you need to do is give them an allowance. So I always gave my kids a little bit of money. It was according to their age. So if they're 5, they get $5. And then you can buy things throughout the house or go buy things at the dollar store. So start giving them finances to work with. If they were 10, they got $10. Obviously, it could be a little bit doubled in the teen years. You can't give your kids everything, you guys. And that's going to be a whole nother podcast. I should have a whole podcast on parenting because I did a good job. My kids turned out great. Here's a few life hacks I want to share with you before I close today. So if you are that single parent and you're taking your kids to Starbucks, I'm telling you, it could be like a $40 bill, right? Like you've done the Starbucks thing and you're like, why? $40 for, 4 kids? So this is one of the things I used to do. I used to get a tall, the biggest extra large hot drink you can buy. And then I would ask for 3 cups of ice. And plus your kids can't always finish it anyway, nor should they because it's full of sugar. I used to get the matcha latte, super extra big. I don't know, it was like $5 or $6. I'd get 3 cups of ice, pour them on the cups of ice, and boom, I had 3 drinks for each of my kids. So great life hack. Another thing you should be doing with your kids, go hiking, biking, and board games. They're free. They're fun. They take up time. You have to talk. When I take my kids hiking, there's nothing else to do but talk. It is the best thing I ever did. As a matter of fact, I used to do it every day for Mother's Day because kids complain. And they would say, I don't want to go hiking, right? And I'd say, well, too bad it's Mother's Day. And now my kids love to go hiking. They go hiking with each other. They go hiking with me still. And those are fun goals to have with your kids. Also, here's one last thing, kind of random, but don't put TVs in your kids' bedroom. Don't do that. Splurge on memories and not on stuff. Do not be putting stuff in your kids' bedrooms. Keep everything out in a big room where you can see them. I didn't even put desks in my kids' bedrooms. I want them at the dinner table. I want to see them. I want to be interactive with them. So be mindful of those parenting things when you are that single parent. You want to use up your time with them as much as possible because I'm telling you, they will be gone soon. And make sure when you talk to your kids about finances too, that they are starting to invest. Like my finance guy does all the finances for my kids too. And all of my kids they got a little bit of chunk of change from my dad. Praise the Lord. Thank you for my parents who saved for their grandkids. But I told my kids, you got to invest that. You got to make that grow for you. And now that you're young, it's the best time to do it. So get your kids on board and get your tribe and save your money and get financially in order. And make sure you listen to my next podcast. I'm going to be talking about money and dating and how that works. Make sure you go call my guy, Ryan. I'm telling you, ladies, guys, if you have no idea what you're doing, let's get that right. All right. Thanks so much for joining. And until next time.